what was budgeted and what was released by the government. Because maybe in Europe, where the budget is very much honored, but in many African countries, you find that what is the approved or appropriated budget may not necessarily happen at the end, because we still have the problem of budget credibility. Because in PFM, one of the 3 strategic goals of PFM, public financial management, is that you need aggregate fiscal discipline, that what is budgeted for is actually realized and is actually released. And when it's released to the ministries or government departments or agencies, it is actually spent and see what has happened. But more often than not, you find that there are many budget revisions during the fiscal year. You find the supplementary budgets, and so there are many changes. The government departments don't get what they were appropriated. And so the statement of financial performance doesn't make sense to them. What that is more important for them is the statement of appropriation account. What was approved, what was the revised budget, what was released, and what has been expended, and what has been surrendered back to the consolidated fund. And the other problem is that in most countries, the accountability cycle is either 12 months or more. At the end of the fiscal year, say if it is 30th June, then you have 4 months for the ministries or departments or agencies, whatever, to prepare those accounts. Then you give another 4 months to the Auditor General. So we have 8 months after the end of the fiscal year. Now, those then are tabled before Parliament. Parliament then refers to the Public Accounts Committee. Then the discussions start. The start of it again start another 4 months after the presentation to them. So you have a whole 1 year before any accountability process would start. And so in some countries, you find that you have this backlog running up to 2 or 3 or 4 years. And before, even after that has been done, then it has to be tabled back to the Parliament. Parliament has to make a resolution and give executive directives to the executive to implement those recommendations. Then the executive has to submit back what we call the Treasury memorandum to report on what they have taken. So the fiscal year ends 30th June 2013. The park starts probably around 30th June 2014. The Treasury memorandum might come sometime after 2015. And so then people lose trust. I mean, after more than 12 months, 18 months, 24 months after, thieves have gone, shop closed. So where's the public trust? So we, public sector, we have a challenge. Unlike in the private sector, your accounts are closed within 1 month after the financial year. The audit takes place simultaneously. Within the next 2 months, after the end of the year, the accounts are tabled before the board to the shareholders, and actions. So you find that sometimes it takes not more than 4 months after the end of the financial. In the public sector, we have more than 18 months, 24 months. I don't know what the experience here in the UK. And so this is creating lack of trust in the public sector. Can government be trusted if it will go and take 18 months for accountability process to be completed? The other problem with this general purpose finance statement, that is the more focus on the impeccable figures. And sometimes those figures don't make any sense. Like when you talk about government revenue, what is government revenue? When you recognize revenue on the statement of financial performance, is it when the budget has been approved by the legislature? Or is it when the ministry, a government department or agency has received the releases. So you have this varied treatment. Now when you have cash or accrual, the complication of it becomes worse. But then they lack linkage. You have the Auditor General issues opinion, separate report. The financial statements are not attached to them. Then you have the annual report also prepared by the ministry separately. There is no linkage. So what trust can you have? That's a challenge. But it's important to include the non-financial to the financial statements. And you get into the politics within the government. Who should prepare this non-financial and incorporate in the concern? Is it the accountant general or who else? So you again enter into the area of politics, power politics, and I have seen this in many countries. So governance issues relies increasingly on what has been appropriated and has it been respected. But when you have the problem of lack of budget credibility, then there's no trust in that. It is a long way to go. Was there value for money? That's what the citizens ask. The start-to-see project started. How much was spent? Was there value? The financial statements don't tell a story about that. And people lose interest. What can I trust on these accounts? What about the regional environment, where the procedures for executing the approved budget followed? Procurement law. And in many of these countries, you have problems about weak procurement management. People giving contract to their special agencies, or special vehicles are created to execute certain programs. But the financial statement don't disclose those associated interests. The other big issue is about, is our public finance management system working? And you know, the key objectives of the NAPFM system is one, the aggregate physical discipline. The other one is the strategic allocation of resources. That is, the budget should be policy-based. And this is why you hear of this medium-term expenditure framework, program-based budgeting, in order to improve the PFM system. The other one is on the efficiency of service delivery. Those are the three basic key strategic objectives of the NPFM system in the country. But this not at all captured in the public sector financial